Alrighty. I'm gonna get this thing started. We'll do it live. Fuck it. We'll do it live. Say hi, Baby Yoda. Say what up, G. Oh, that's right. He can't talk yet. He just a baby. But it's okay. Because we communicate telepathically with the Force and shit. That's how all humans are going to communicate one day. But for now, we won't get into that. That's future shit. Let's talk about the shitty old present. Articulated meaningfully and concisely through my man Jamal. While he does that, I'm just going to kick back and draw and shit.
Jacob Blake, the man that was shot 7 times in the back by the police officer in Kenosha, Wisconsin, an act that instigated, set off, you could say, a match to a spark of dynamite or a bit of dynamite, those riots and the protests that took on in Wisconsin. I apologize for my voice. They gave me a bit too much fluid yesterday and it stopped me up. But Jacob Blake's dad made the point that he's laying there handcuffed. And how odd it is that a man who's paralyzed because he was shot by those cops gets handcuffed to the bed as if he's going to run away. Well, news was released today that he was in those handcuffs because there was a warrant out for Jacob Blake. Apparently, there was some kind of third-degree sexual assault. I've read through the information concerning the sexual assault. It is pretty rough to read. But here's the thing. I know right-wingers like to focus on that. It's irrelevant. I hope you understand what I mean by this. It's irrelevant to what took place. I don't care. If Jacob Blake had a warrant for his arrest, fair enough. If Jacob Blake is trying to get to his car, that cop and that warrant doesn't necessitate him being murdered. My argumentation has never been one of these people that needed to elevate this person to a paragon of virtue that was murdered by cops in a pretty bad way. No, I just honestly state, is there a viable path for you to extricate yourself, everybody, from this situation without him dying? And if there is a rational, viable path, then you should take it. Does your society believe that life matters? And if your society believes that life is a priority, then the organs of your state, particularly cops, should also, to some degree, have some attenuation to that.
I think that's what it comes down to. Just in the end, are we going to prioritize life, or are we going to prioritize property, or and people being sober all the time, and just keeping all these things illegal that go against man's nature, and punishing man and putting him in a cage to try and change man's nature. It seems counterproductive. It seems like a waste of time to me. And yeah, man, I just agree with Jamal here that are we a society that's going to prioritize life, or are we a society that's just going to prioritize property damage every fucking time, every single time one of these goddamn shootings happen? I don't know. I hope it's not the latter.
Meaning that this guy may be having a bad day, but that guy has people that love him, that guy has people that care about him, and you, in your ability or your goal to apprehend him, should apprehend him. There needs to be, if there's a valuable path, you should take it. That's my only reasoning here. If you are a cop and your life is in danger, fair enough. Your life was not in danger. Those 3 kids were in the car, and it is maddening to think that, A, you fired shots with those kids in the car. That's the first part. Those shots could have killed those kids. But on top of that, that tackling, going after him, tasing again, I'm making a point that there are other options here. And those other options necessitate those cops to be charged. There needs to be accountability in this process, otherwise nothing takes place. It's not that the guy's a paragon of virtue. It has more to do with the fact that he didn't have to be shot in the back that many times in order to be apprehended. That warrant apparently has been vacated. So this is what is this? Chicago.com.
How kind of the law?
He He's being guarded, but he's under arrest, and that was for an outstanding warrant for third-degree sexual assault, Kenosha Police Chief Daniels Minsky said on Friday. But Friday afternoon, Blake's lawyer told ABC News that the cuffs had been removed. The lawyer said that the felony warrant out on Blake before Sunday's shooting has been vacated. Fortunately, a man who was paralyzed and was fighting for his life after being shot 7 times in the back will no longer have to deal with the pain of having his ankles and wrists shackled and the traumatic stress of being under armed guard. I suppose they looked at the paralysis and the being shot in the back 7 times and the attention that has been applied to this, and the prosecutor probably just got rid of the charge at that point, vacated the charge.
Yeah, I mean, good on the prosecutor for that, if that's indeed what happened. You know, I don't know. No one really knows what happened between Jacob Blake and his alleged victim. That's between, you know, those two and the law. But you know, it doesn't sound like he deserved to get shot 7 times in the back and paralyzed because of that. Like, I can't imagine what degree of rapist you have to be to deserve getting shot in the back and paralyzed, because they come in degrees. You know, you got your Bill Cosby kind of rapist, you know, your statutory rapist. You got your, well, she's a little drunker than I am, so I'm going for it rapist. And you got your, well, I'm a little drunker than she is, or a lot drunker than she is, so I'm going for it kind of rapist, you know. And you got the I'm gonna choke this chick in the alley out with chloroform and put a gun to her head kind of rapist. And you got the prison rapist. They come in all shades and shit. So Jacob Blake could have been anywhere from a date rape, drunken rapist to, you know, a really forceful criminal rapist. I couldn't tell you, but from what I understand, doesn't deserve, like, he deserved to be shot 7 times in front of his 3 kids. And I don't think there's any way a cop could have just judged all that about his life in the seconds that he knew him.
Something else, though, more important. Those riots that have been taking place in Kenosha, Wisconsin, are not about Blake entirely. In fact, I would argue to you, they're not about Blake at all. When Blake's mom came out and said, please don't do this in the honor of my son, she doesn't have to worry about that. It wasn't being done in the honor of her son. My typical argument on this stuff is that you have precursors. There are things that take place in your society that instigate people to feel that this is warranted behavior. Not just warranted, this is right. Right from the standpoint of the life that they live, right from the standpoint of the pressure that they've been exposed to, and context of society that has basically left them alienated. And yeah, when I make the argument that all crime is rational, to the person it is. What do I get versus what do I have? And if that value comes out as, I don't have much, but I have the potential to get a lot, and my chances of getting caught, at that moment it's become a rational act. I have argued that the issue boils down more to anything else is poverty. You deal with the poverty in your society, you deal with those areas that have been abandoned and left out, and this stuff will go down, if not away. Your need for cops will go down organically. Your need for this notion of having a thick neck guy in your community where the people actually believe they need that person, despite the fact that the person kills people, will go down. Crime, poverty, medical issues, all of those things are infinitely tied to that one specific issue. It does not eliminate all of your issues. There still needs to be accountability in police, in the way that police engage. Cops kill 1,000 people a year. 1% get prosecuted. 30% of that 1% go to jail. So yes, there needs to be accountability in the system where the cop thinks twice about shooting somebody in the back 7 times, that he thinks twice about the humanity of that individual. Yes, that is also part and parcel to that. Deal with poverty. Get rid of those communities from being impoverished.
Yeah, I mean, solving poverty is grand as an endeavor as that would be. I think that would help a lot. And you know, it's pretty much what it all comes down to. I don't know why these right wingers have such a vested interest in keeping things so tilted in their favor. I guess I do. It makes perfect sense. Everybody's interested in looking out for themselves, but it's just so short-sighted, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. The long game, the long picture, in my opinion, of which I think there's a lot of evidence for, is altruism and helping people out and helping society out and everybody in society out and extending that beyond borders, to other societies and other nations. And I think that all comes back, and everyone benefits from it. You can see benefits of that now, like global trade. Some of the best robots and shit are made in Japan, and the anime and all that shit comes from Japan, and China makes shit, and Mexico makes things, and America, sometimes we make things, and we all share it, and it's great. When we're warring, putting sanctions on each other, more people tend to suffer, and there's not so much trade going on. And I really don't see who it benefits except for war profiteers and weapons manufacturers, that's a very niche part of our society. So I don't really understand why we tolerate it. More people are losing out than benefiting, but I don't know. That's the status quo for you. It can't change it.
And your world will look radically different. I want to show you the reason and the basis for that argument, especially in the context of Kenosha, that those riots didn't come out of thin air. But those riots, then were just people ready to burn shit down. People, under normal circumstances, don't like to do that, which is the reason why they don't do that. Given a spark, given an incentive, and given a certain rationale that this is necessary, even if they don't entirely get it in the political sense that I may explain it, they get the deficit of justice. They get where they are living compared to how other people are living, and they deem it not fair. Whether they understand those are issues of policy or not, it is an issue of policy. And as such, the cry of the masses scream out in terms of riot. I don't say this as a rah-rah. I say this because I think it's flat fact true. People like to point at the riot and never at the precursor. Meaning, they take the shallow view that it's about Jacob Blake, and not the more expansive view that if you lived in a more just society, the killing of one person doesn't produce that effect. That effect is produced by other things. This is just a spark. Welcome to the soapbox. My name is Jamal Thomas. This is the Progressive Soapbox. Guys, if you dig this content, please like, share, and subscribe. You can always support this content through PayPal or Patreon. I like to say this content is brought to you by you because it in return is.
It's the soapbox. He ain't gonna trip on me sharing.
Jacob Blake gets shot 7 times in the back. The public flips out. They've been seeing these killings or shootings over and over and over again, and they've seen no accountability in that process. As such, zero tolerance. You kick my dog, I kick your cat. When a certain part of the society feels alienated, feels left out, doesn't necessarily feel that it is weaved within the context of the social contract, where something can happen to them and the world looks on without necessarily a care, where their lives matter less than the other lives in that society. But at a certain point, that culture, that society, that group starts to rebel. And when they are killed, they demand and they feel that a reprisal is necessary, since there will be no accountability within the context of the criminal justice system to which it is supposed to take place. That's not a justification. That's a description of reality. Now, I want to make this point that much more clear, though. This is Kenosha, Wisconsin. Poverty rates by race. Because if my argument is right, that there was a pressure cooker as a precursor, you should be able to see it in the data. Kenosha, Wisconsin poverty rates. Blacks, 39.4%. 39.4%. Whites, 13.1. 13.1. Asians are kicking ass. But that number is painful. The number is painful. This is Wisconsin, and this is unemployment. So let's go from poverty to unemployment. The unemployment rate for black workers in Wisconsin is 3.5 times as high as the rate for white workers. Black workers in Wisconsin face an unemployment rate of 9.6% in 2017 compared to 2.8% for white workers. That's a staggering difference. Staggering difference. Right here. The difference between unemployment rates for white and black workers in Wisconsin means that black job seekers had a significantly harder time finding a job in 2017 than white workers. And when the unemployment rate peaked at 7.5% in 2010, in effect, the recession is still continuing for black workers. In fact, you have to go back 34 years to 1983 to find a time of unemployment rate white workers in Wisconsin was high as that for black workers in 2017. Giving you data, real world statistics of pain that no one cares about. Your society ticks on. You have a comfortable class that ticks on. They pay attention to their own life. Something explodes. That comfortable class. Oh, I don't like that. I don't like that. That's disorder. It's wrecking my comfortable life. And they want it to stop. That group never cared and didn't give a shit about the poverty and pain that individuals in your society was dealing with day after day after day, 24 hours, 7 days a week. When they opened their eyes, they were impoverished. When they closed them, they were in the same situation. Yes, I'm making the point to you that many people don't care about this stuff until something blows up. Let's keep going. Doesn't that?
And I get that. I get that people are, really only concerned with their own bubble that they live in, and that if you're comfortable, you're probably not too concerned with the petty issues of the poor. Just like poor people probably aren't too concerned with whatever problems you have, if there are any, which I'm sure there are rich people problems. But anyway, but it's just at the end of the day, it's still idiotic to me. It's not like I understand it, but it's not intelligent to just kind of discount your own people, your own race, the human race, and just leave people just out to dry and shit. Because as he's explaining a lot more succinctly and effectively than I am, desperate people are gonna resort to desperate things, which usually results in a less fun time for everybody and an increased risk for everybody to be in danger and shit. And it sounds like an ultimatum, but really it's just you benefit in the end because you just get a healthier society, you get more educated people. A person who might have been a criminal is instead a productive member of society. Maybe he's a governor or a teacher now, a professor. Just takes a little bit of moolah in the neighborhood starting out. But yeah, man.
That's something we even incentivize the necessity of the blow up. This is evictions. Listen to this. The mother of two from Milwaukee said that before the pandemic she was paying rent on time, but Walton was infected by the coronavirus in April and it swept through the nursing home where she worked. She spent nearly 3.5 weeks struggling to breathe. Walton lost months of paychecks while recovering, joining a backlog of thousands waiting for the State Department of Workforce Department to process her unemployment claims. She fell behind her bills, including rent. She left Walton with a damaging eviction filed on her record, forcing her to scramble to stay at home as she recovers from the virus. There's nowhere to go, she said. Where can you go when you have nowhere to go? These are dramas that are playing out to the millions in your society. And who do you think the brunt of that is going to hit the most? You tell me. Let's keep going. Roughly 30 to 40 million renters nationwide are at risk of losing their homes this year as state moratoriums on evictions expire. According to the August study and the Aspen Institute, eviction filings are already upending lives in Wisconsin, especially in Milwaukee. Wisconsin landlords have filed for 1,447 evictions in June, 17% higher than the pre-pandemic June average. The city's 1,347 eviction filings in July were 9% averages above the 2012-2016. More than two-thirds of those filings hit a black majority neighborhoods. Is that stress or not? Take everything else from the side for the moment. Pretend that the riots weren't happening. I'm giving you real-world data in regards to Wisconsin and blacks in comparison to whites. Higher unemployment, higher issues of poverty, and beyond the higher issues of poverty, you have the situation now where the people who are being thrown out of their homes are predominantly black. Does that hurt? Is that pain?
That doesn't sound fun.
Is that trauma that is implemented by a society that allows policy that basically ignores the group? Let's keep going. There's more. There's more. Half of Wisconsin's black neighborhoods are jails. Let that sink in. Half of Wisconsin's black neighborhoods are jails. So, right here. A certain majority of residents, where basically communities or areas where the residents, the majority are black, are located throughout the state. There are 56 of them. 31 of them are either jails or prisons. There are 15 cities where the only black neighborhood is jail. The city of Winnebago claims it has an African American population of more than 19%, but most, if not all, of that population is located in 1 or 4 correctional facilities. It's perhaps no wonder that Wisconsin perennially comes up as the worst place for African Americans to live in the country, considering that the majority of the places they're living are prisons or jails. What is your society doing to criminalize people to this extent? Or for that matter, what is your society doing not just to criminalize, but to even incentivize the actions itself, where this would be a better option than a job? Oh, but that's right. Those people who were looking for jobs couldn't find jobs. This is Wisconsin. This is where this riot is popping off. And the only question that you should really ask is, why hasn't this happened sooner? Not, oh my God, I can't believe it's happening now. Right here, here's another one. This is higher poverty is tied to higher youth suicides. No shit. If you were living in a world 24/7 where your access to things were limited, you could see out on the horizon that other people's access weren't limited, but your access limited. Either from the food that you want, either to pay this bill, or even living in a household with a parent that has to deal with it. And that parent either internalized that poverty to their own tune of depression, or externalized it in the sense that I have to do pretty bad things to get my ends. A universal jobs guarantee would have gotten rid of that, by the way. But let's keep going.
Yeah, I mean, I don't get why that's so hard to pass. Like, what's so hard about a universal jobs guarantee? I thought we wanted everyone working. Or do we just want everyone, fighting for these jobs so they can pay us less? Like, whoever works for the less wins. Is that the game?
Meaning, a poverty rate rose. As poverty rates rose, so did youth suicide rates. The relationship was especially strong for suicides by gun, it showed. Right here. Youth suicide rates have climbed in the United States, as the new recent study published Monday examines where young people are more at risk. The analysis of nearly 21,000 deaths over the decade showed that in U.S. counties with poverty rates of at least 20%, people 15 to 19 were 37% more likely to commit suicides than other counties where it was 5%. Meaning, just through statistics alone, you were born into a situation. I can predominantly state that to a tune of 30%, 7% higher than a wealthy neighborhood, you would have people committing suicide. Do I know exactly where? No. Do I need to know exactly where? No. Those are human beings. Those are people. And the poverty itself created preconditions that allowed that person to say, I don't want to be here. I want to share one more thing. Perspectives in Wisconsin. I've shown you all of these precursors that are taking place in your world, let alone in Wisconsin. When I make the point to you that poverty is violence, those people committing suicide are not doing so for shits and giggles. They're doing so because of the things in their life have gotten to such an extent that they felt, I don't want to be here, and it is better that I don't exist. I am saying this from somebody who had a niece that tried to do such a thing. And you could see the parents. I could see how my wife acted and behaved. It is trauma. Theirs wasn't necessarily entirely for poverty, but I'm making the point that it is trauma, nonetheless, for the person who was...
Yeah, I won't say that, all the suicides going on these kids is entirely due to poverty, even though, statistics don't lie. Probably like that in Wisconsin for sure. But it's a lot of different factors. Poverty, the world's a lot different than it used to be. People are a lot more critical. Just poverty does have a lot to do with it, though. That's what I think.
Doing it, and for the family members that are there afterwards. As somebody who grew up in poverty, I'm telling
you, with more money, you could definitely, deal with the changes that have occurred in the world a little bit better.
It is a 24/7 cage. And while people who are in uncomfortable classes of the world don't pay attention to it, they don't quite get it. They think, oh, those people need to do X or those people need to do Y. They miss the precursors. And they bitch about the after effect. I'm saying don't bitch about the after effect if you don't care about the predominant things that instigate your society to explode in the way that it does. Your question should only be, why hasn't happened? Why hasn't it happened before? This is a breakdown of people's opinion in Wisconsin. You're going to see the comfortable class versus the class that's not, and the disparity of these people living in different worlds. In June, the approval of the protest was widespread, with 61% approving, 36% disapproving. In August, 48% to 48%. Meaning, the population got worn down. Listen to who, though? Approval remained strong among blacks and Hispanics in the city of Milwaukee, but declined among white residents.
Big surprise.
Now, here's the other part. Depending on where you were, like suburbia, rural networks, areas like that, your opinion will change depending on those things. Overall, more Wisconsin respondents have a favorable rather than unfavorable view of Black Lives Matter. June, 59% to 27% unfavorable. In August, 49% to 37%. It declined by 10 points. Black or Hispanics remain strong. 47% favorable, 40% unfavorable in August. Net favorability declined in all markets of the state except for the city of Milwaukee. So let's keep going. I want to get to the ones with the skews, with the large skews. In August, okay, right here, there were substantial differences among blacks or Hispanics in how they viewed the protests. 65% of whom said mostly peaceful. White respondents, 47% mostly peaceful. There's like 20% difference. 21% of blacks or Hispanics said that mostly violent, while 42% of whites said they were mostly violent. This is the way your Milwaukee or that areas of Wisconsin is viewing what's taking place. And you're seeing skews in how blacks and Hispanics are viewing it versus how whites are viewing it. The whites in your state are far more comfortable, in which case, as I kind of made the argument to you, don't pay attention entirely to the precursors, and as long as their life is going fine, other people's life are living in hell, I don't have to see it. It's invisible to me. When it riots, it is no longer invisible to me and I don't like it. You may not necessarily like it, but I'm making the point that the reason that it's taking place is because of the factors in your society, not magic. You allow policy that is an alienation of an aspect of your society. When that alienation and that wall breaks down and you don't like what you see, the honest way to deal with it If you indeed believe in a social
What's wrong
fabric,
with your moral
is ensure that the
propaganda?
people in your society as a whole are kept whole. Not by putting more money in cops, by ensuring that issues of poverty are dealt with. If you have issues of healthcare, deal with that. Medicare for all deals with that. If you need people to have jobs where it becomes more rational to take the job and not a route that may necessarily bring you in contact with cops, for that matter, not incentivize the state to put more money in cops. Deal with the education aspect, where education is free and those state institutions are free. Deal with the aspect where those people can get health care. Deal with the aspect where they can get decent housing. Deal with those things. And when I say deal with those things, I mean deal with those things in real terms, not in theater and optics. Your country could put through a jobs program, a jobs guarantee, meaning it is more rational for me to take this job and live my life and dedicate to society as opposed to not getting a job, not being able to do that. That becomes more of a difficult route. And somehow crime becomes that much more incentivized. I'm making the point that these are issues of policy. These are not issues of human beings. The fact that you have more jails in that state, or areas of black areas with more jails, that's appalling.
I was watching that shit with
TV
too, man. I was
if you're
working
comfortable,
the whole time,
you don't see that. That doesn't matter to you. It sure as hell matters to the people who are being processed and their lives are being destroyed in such a way. Deal with the poverty.
But yeah, I was just lurking like a
the other stuff will come into alignment. The Jacob Blake thing, yes, might have been a spark that set all of this off. But let's just be clear, everything that I've just shown was true. And all of those things are things that people deal with silently. The news barely touches it. If you're comfortable, you live your life, you go home. And while other people just basically suffer.
My damn computer's spazzing out. I'm trying to pause it every time I speak, and for some reason it just didn't want to do it. Really convenient, like it's never done that before. But yeah, man, I was in your chat yesterday. Well, no, I wasn't in your chat. I was watching your videos. I didn't fuck with the chat. That shit was funny, man. You was playing some acid jazz and shit. That shit was hard as fuck, bro. I had a good time. I was just in a really like mellow mood. I didn't want to fuck with anybody. You got it. Yeah. I guess he was just a guy who got sick, I guess, ultimately. I thought his movie was good. It wasn't like the greatest Marvel film ever. But it just bummed me out because I've been having pains in my ass recently. And I tried going to the doctor for it, but I don't have health insurance, so they just kind of took a peek and told me nothing was wrong, even though I was having like level 8 pain and screaming in agony for like hours on end. So his situation kind of, it was a little more personal to me than I would have thought it'd been, because I didn't think he'd go out like that. And I just pray I don't. Because I don't have enough for insurance.
Share. And subscribe.
Yeah, I don't know why this shit's lagging like
there are chats here. So let's go to...
But yeah, we'll move on to the next one.
And I do have to leave. I gotta get this weight off. Frank Frio.
I got a few lines.
Did the cop know there was an arrest warrant before shooting Blake?
Weird. I might have too many windows open for the stream. Yeah. You know, I figured out how to do all that shit last time. I totally fucked up the audio for Secret of Mana, because I wasn't looking at the chat the whole time, or at least like at the beginning, so I didn't see what you were writing till later. Oh, it's so loud. Okay, now I can fix that. Let me see. Mike. I think if I turn down, yeah, there we go. I know, I'll just turn that down. And turn the desktop audio down. Yeah, it's lagging a little bit for me. Okay. We'll play another video. We'll see how that one... Some more socialist shit. Oops, he's muted. Well, tell me how the audio is on that one.
This is Richard Wolff from Democracy at Work. It's a mere 10 weeks before the election. So much is at stake. We're counting down and in the process trying to understand all the issues at play in this moment. I want to talk to you today about the road to fascism, how capitalism and why capitalism tends towards a fascistic solution to its problems when alternative solutions seem to be fading away.
I suck with all this audio shit, man. Like, this is like my 4th time streaming in my life, man. Like, it was like this is like the first month I think I've ever streamed like this for multiple reasons. So I'm like, I really suck at this shit. This perfect volume.
I want to begin by noting a change in capitalism over recent decades. Once upon a time, it was thought that capitalism could keep itself going by an internal dynamic. Now, here's what I mean. That capitalists would be forever on the lookout for new, exciting investments, that the money saved by masses of people and businesses would pour into investing in new technologies, in new products, and all the rest. In economics, we tended to call this animal spirits, a sort of mysterious dynamic that kept capitalism going, because we all understood that if and when capitalists saved money, earned a lot of profits that they couldn't or wouldn't spend, they better find another way for that money to keep going back into the economy, for example, through investment, or else we would have stagnation. We would have an economic crash, and the whole system would be in trouble.
Yeah, so just right there, what happens when you have like all these people just making all this fucking money through capitalism, but instead of investing back in the economy, they just decide to just hoard it offshore. That sounds like a recipe for disaster. I think that's what we got.
Well, it was half mythology, half real. The mythology part was we did have crashes, and it did break down from time to time. On average, every 4 to 7 years, the investment wasn't enough to keep the system going and had to be rescued by one or another government stimulus. But it had some grain of truth in the fact that other than in those every 4 to 7 year average crashes, it did seem to have a certain dynamism. I think in recent decades, and particularly here in the 21st century, that is no longer the case. That is, capitalism, in terms of its internal dynamic, in terms of the animal spirits motivating its investors, is pretty much exhausted. And something else has had to come in.
She supports warmongers? Who supports warmongers?
To keep the system from imploding in its own failure to generate new investments, new ways for the wealth to be thrown back into the economy so that we don't have a crash that simply drowns us in depression. What is the...
I don't think Jamal Thomas likes Bush Jr. or Bush Sr. Not that I've heard. Maybe, I didn't see that video. The
new element. The new element is credit. And above all, credit created and distributed by the government, in particular by the central bank. In this country, it's called the Federal Reserve. In other countries, it's called the Bank of England or the Bank of France, and so on. What do I mean exactly? Well, what's keeping American business going, and indeed what's keeping capitalism going in most parts of the world now, and I'm including China, India, and so on, are massive infusions of credit. And it isn't anymore just a little bit of stimulus with a little bit of credit at a moment of crash or downturn. No, it's a...
Oh, so you had an argument with Jamarl on Twitter? Yeah, no, I'd love to see that, man. I barely started using Twitter too. That's been a hard one to get into for me. Instagram, I kind of just jumped into because Instagram's more about just sharing your art, and Twitter's I don't know, I'm trying to get into it. Like, no one follows me, so it's not any fun at all. Yeah, and I'll be interested in looking at that argument.
Kind of continuing massive infusion of credit. And make no mistake, that's what's keeping the economy going. Look at it today in the extreme moment of COVID-19. But before COVID-19 hit, we were having record creations of new money, new credit, new loans, which is the form that new money takes. Credit is keeping this system going. From the companies who have more debt now than they ever did, to the government who has more debt now than it ever did, to the average person who carries more debt now than he or she ever did. It's what's keeping the economy going. And make no mistake, when the capitalists of this world depend as totally as they do now on the government for the credit, which keeps the system going, the politicians, the credit distributors will demand and get from the capitalists the kind of accommodation, adjustment, subordination that begins
yeah, hell yeah, man. They both cow to the establishment pretty fucking hard. Like, Tulsi, man, she fucking let me down. It was like walking in and just seeing her suck Joe Biden's dick, dude. Just walking in on Tulsi with Biden splooge all over her face. I couldn't fucking take it, man. That shit hurt. Made Bernie sing. Yeah, Bernie, he ain't no saint, but, you know, I mean, like, they're the two we got, man. We got Bernie, we got Tulsi. Who else? That's about it for me. I'm like, fuck Yang so hard. But, I mean, those are the only two people we've got in. AOC, I guess she's okay. She's got potential. She's definitely trash on a lot of issues, and she can be really petty. And she's definitely counter to the establishment, same as Bernie and Tulsi, obviously. But, yeah, I mean, at this point, it's just we have to aim so low and just lower expectations so fucking low so much that, I mean, like, what else can I do but shrug and be like, yeah, AOC, Tulsi, Bernie, go. Rah, rah, rah. Because we got no other horses in the goddamn race. We've got no other fighters. It's like we're playing Street Fighter, but we can only be Dan. You know? It's bullshit. Or Dragon Ball Z, but we can only be Hercule. So yeah, I don't know, man. So it's really fucked up handicap. Let me see. Praise the worst people. Yeah.
Merge government and capitalists into a joint venture. And that joint venture is the survival of capitalism. The survival of a small group of people at the top, employers, overseeing, supervising, and exploiting a mass of the population.
Tulsi was my girlfriend, man. That's exactly how I felt.
Employees. But in fascism, the difference is that the lines between government and the private capitalist employers, those lines get blurred, and eventually they get erased. And what we have is a military, industrial, governmental complex, all one big machine of a tiny minority of folks at the top telling us all what to do, how to do it, when to do it, and for how much money we should have to settle to get by. Fascism always was a solution to keeping capitalism going when it had produced so many enemies so many shortcomings, so many catastrophes that its survival was at stake. That's happening now as well. Slowly, steadily, it is shown by the way in which government
Yeah, I love Richard Wolff.
has replaced anything the private sector can do, could do, and would do in keeping this system going. This is Richard Wolff for Democracy at Work with another Wolff Respond.
Yeah. And like pretty much everything he said has been proven insanely correct. Like them just using socialism to just bust out only the wealthy and using all these artificial means to keep the capitalist machine going, not in a way that works for everyone, which it easily could, but in a way that just only works for the few, like it has been this whole time, and it hasn't been producing any like real substantive results. And you know, I think it's just bullshit. This false dichotomy that we kind of find ourselves in as a country, where we're either a far left socialist or a right wing capitalist. Like, there's not just a little middle ground there. There's a whole fucking continent of middle ground there that we need to kind of just, you know, that we need to explore, I think. Because I don't think capitalism's worth a damn without a little bit of socialism in it. And I don't think socialism's the least bit practical without a little capitalism sprinkled in. So I think the conversation needs to be, you know, revamped. And to Richard Wolff's credit, I think he completely gets that. He's just I think he's trying to steer the ship away from crazy land back to Earth. But it's gone so far out of control. But let's see what we got next here. I don't have too many lined up. Oh shit, yeah, we missed the stream, but probably get the replay.
5, 4,
There we go.
3, 2, 1. We are live on YouTube and brand new tune for episode 8 of Sonia and Sean. And this evening we're looking at deep web and elite pedos, including the guy on the thumbnail, Prince Andrew. We have got Sonia made it home after the demo today. How did that go down? Thank you for doing the streaming from there earlier. It was brilliant.
Thank you for hosting it. It was tremendous, absolutely tremendous. I want to say a shout out to everybody that I met there today. I mean, just so many great people. Brand New Tube will be producing an exclusive report, which will certainly be available, God willing, by midday tomorrow at the latest. We talked to Dr. Adil, Dr. Dolores Cahill, Dr. Kevin Corbett. We talked to Chico. We talked to lots of great people there at the demo. It was incredible. I just want to say I've had quite a few emails since I got back, Sean. I posted a clip on Twitter, which has had well over 500,000 views now. And apparently there's lots of filthy comments, which I haven't seen, but people have like sent me emails saying, I'm really, really sorry I responded to it, and they've piled in, look, please, I honestly don't mind, I truly don't mind. Better that they're talking about what we're doing than not talking about us at all. I've got a thick skin, I can take it, I've had enough insults in my life, so please don't worry, just take good care of yourself, okay? So yeah, it was an incredible day, Sean, and we have got...
Yeah, back to your point there. Yeah, work is valuable, but it is coveted in our society. Yeah, it's just I think it's pretty much what it all comes down to. It's all work, and you know, there's some play on the weekend. You know, that's the religion of this country. We're all living for the weekend, but you know, till we get to that weekend, you get your ass to work. My video stuck on Jamal. Yes, it is. That's weird. See what's going on. Full screen. That's weird as hell. Jamal's window isn't even open, so I don't know what the hell's going on there. Okay. I'm gonna try. I'm using OBS, But I don't know why the hell it's stuck like that. It's never happened before. I guess I'll, let me see, I'll do a new window capture. See if that works. No, it's still on Jamal. That's fucking trippy. Can't believe it didn't work. Stuck in the window. That's crazy as hell. The fuck? Dude, I don't even know, man. If I feel like I tried everything, I stopped the stream, started again. What the fuck? That's so weird. I think they're hacking me and Baby Yoda. You got any ideas, buddy? Fucking useless, Baby Yoda. Use the force, fix the screen. What are you good for? Except looking cute as hell. Shake it, Baby Yoda, shake it. Now I don't know what the fuck's going on, dude. This is weird. Fuck it. I'll wrap the stream up then. But I highly recommend you watch the video. Elite and Deep Web, Como, Sonia, and Sean, number 8. Chomos. I think that chomos is like a new hip word the kids been using. I don't even know what the fuck that means. Yeah, it's so fucking weird stuck on that the page. But yeah, I'm gonna close the stream. But check out Sean Atwood. Say peace out, Baby Yoda. All right, man. Hopefully the next stream won't be all fucked up.